Greetings, my friends. It's me again, Dr. Jimmy. A while back, you might remember, I made a couple of videos filled with cryptic statements. Oh, what fun those cryptic statements caused on all the internet forums as people try to decipher what the I meant. I first made it in early June, 7 cryptic statements. Then on June 18th, I put out Cryptic Statements 2.0 because I had to change a couple of statements when shit happened. Then 8 statements were made more recently on August 8th. Wow. 8. Ooh, that's good luck if you're Chinese. Anyway, now we come to the grand reveal has happened, of course. At least most of the reveal. There's a lot of stuff you don't know yet. But we'll have fun and games later. Anyway. But on midnight, the stroke of midnight, last Wednesday I think it was, as it became August 30th, very early in the morning, the full website went up. Well, no, that didn't happen at all. Actually, no, the website didn't go up. It was the Facebook page that told you what all the different houses were. People were looking, refreshing the website, going, what the hell's the matter? They didn't go up until sometime the following day, which was Thursday, of course, the 30th, a little bit later in the morning than people thought it was going to be. But anyway, the website did go up on the 30th eventually. And, oh my goodness, we found out all about Halloween Horror Nights 22. Well, as I said, almost all about it. So, that means the reveal has happened, and now it's time for me to decrypt my cryptic statements, for those of you who hadn't figured them out yet. And apparently there are, because I read a comment the other day that someone wasn't able to figure out any of them except for one, the last 8 statements videos, which is odd because everybody over on the forums have been deciphering these for some time now, but some people don't belong to forums, so obviously. Alright, then so let's go back then to early June, the first video that I put out called 7 Cryptic Statements. By the way, just calling the statements cryptic in and of itself was a bit of a clue. Crypt, get it? Crypt, mausoleum, grave, like the thing that sprung out of the ground in Sting Alley the other day. Crypt. Don't trip on the crypt. Alright, yes. Alrighty, let's start in then. The first cryptic statement that I made back then was, Vincent is an interesting name. Now, as some have rightfully figured out, a long time ago actually, that referred to the house, Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare, which is featured in Sprung Tent 1. As you see, Vincent is in fact Alice Cooper's real name. Pardon. Yes, his name is Vincent Fournier, and he made the LP, Welcome to My Nightmare, back in the mid-70s, right when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and there was a television special, oh exciting, and in the television special, with Alice Cooper, was Vincent Price, so there were 2 Vincents in that show, and so the clue kind of pointed you towards Alice Cooper, but it was a bit of a red herring if you thought it was Vincent Price. But even then, if you knew enough about it, you could put it all together and get Welcome to My Nightmare out of it. You see, that's the way my demented mind works. Okay, the second clue I gave back then is one that had to later be deleted. It was, I drink Dr. Pepper and I'm proud. Yes, that was in reference to a house that they were going to build in Soundstage 22, which was An American Werewolf in London. Now, this house ended up getting scrapped sometime between when that original video was posted and June 18th, when I posted the second one, shortly after I'd heard that it got scrapped, actually. And you wonder, what does that have to do with the werewolf if you don't know what that meant? Well, you see, back in 1979, there was a television commercial for Dr. Pepper. and there's a nice young man got up and started singing. I drink Dr. Pepper and I'm proud, I'm part of an original crowd, and it had a really catchy chorus. It went, I'm a pepper, you're a pepper, everyone we know are peppers, wouldn't you want to be a pepper too? Be a pepper, drink Dr. Pepper, although I'm drinking Mountain Dew myself. But, you see, according to a sort of Hollywood legend, don't know if it's true or not, John Landis saw that commercial in 1979 and said, hey, that's the dude I want to play the werewolf, David, in the werewolf movie I'm making. And so he got him and casted him, and he played the part of David in the werewolf movie. And it was, he did a pretty good job, actually. So that was the clue for that. And why that was a clue for that. And I figured, not everybody can remember that commercial, so it might throw some people. All right, the third one, of course, Winnebago. That was a throwaway. It was obvious. We already knew of The Walking Dead because there already was a Winnebago sitting out next to the house construction going on in the disaster overflow queue area back in June. And so everyone was already talking about a Walking Dead house. It was the one thing everyone already knew about. So why be cryptic? I just threw out the obvious. Clearly. Now, then came my evil little statement. Sometimes when I'm joking, I'm quite serious. Oh, people weren't sure about that one. That was actually in reference to the house. Penn and Teller nuked Las Vegas in 3D. Yes, the house that is going into Sprung Tent 2. And that house strongly resembles a scenario that I postulated quite ridiculously and completely ludicrously in my April Fool's video this year. Now, some of you may not realize this, but every year on April 1st, April Fool's Day, I put videos on the internet about how I know all about what's going to happen at Halloween Horror Nights that year, and then I come up with a scenario for the entire event which is completely and totally silly. But that's the whole point. It's April Fool's Day, and that's a silly joke. Get it? Some people don't, honestly, even to this day. I mean, it must be, well, it's kind of flattering if I can fool people with an April Fool's gag in September, months after the fact and after I've already revealed that it's a joke. But yeah, I get comments on this video saying, well, you only knew about the Penn and Teller house. How come the reason I brought up a Penn and Teller house back in the joke was because I always try to get something based on a rumor that's actually out there, because it makes the joke a little more semi-believable to fool those people who can be fooled. But and there was a rumor about Penn and Teller being involved at Halloween Horror Nights all the way back in like February, but most people discounted the rumor. I actually kind of discounted it myself, but I took it to as ridiculous as I could come up with an idea that there would be a house. Not only would they be a house with them, but they would actually be in the house themselves, and they built the house themselves and designed it, and that they would actually get guests as volunteers to use as scares in the house. And I thought that's totally ridiculous, and they could never do any of that. And yet, the more I hear about the actual house, all of these things are true. So it's like, oh crap. I guess sometimes when I'm joking, I am serious, whether I want to be or not. So, yeah, so that was the point of that. But it also referred to the fact that Penn and Teller's humor, although humor at the same time often has a serious subtext. For those of you who like that sort of thing, because I like to put levels to my clues. Levels. Yes. All right. The next clue, the next statement, the next cryptic statement was water spouts, and that threw a lot of people. Some of the people think I was talking about a lagoon show. I mean, seven statements, 7 houses. Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, they thought I was talking about a show like in the lagoon or something. Water spouts referred to the house Gothic, which of course is in Soundstage 20, and Gargoyle was described to be my most excellent source, which has been right 100% of the time. that particular source described it to me as a Gothic house with gargoyles. Didn't realize that when he said Gothic house, he meant the house was actually going to be called Gothic, but that was the case, and with gargoyles. And I had a hunch about the house as well, which turned out to be accurate. So that explains a mention of a hunch in an earlier video, even before the statement. Because I'm evil like that, right? So water spouts, and why water spouts? Well, that's what gargoyles are, my friends. The original architectural function of a gargoyle, back in Gothic architecture, was to be the water spout. Like have a cathedral, rain falls on the roof, goes down the gutters, slides out the gargoyle's mouth. It's an actual working water spout. In fact, the word gargoyle is an onomatopoeia, French, but still an onomatopoeia, for the sound that the water gurgling in a pipe makes. Gargoyle, gargoyle. That's where it comes from. It's a French way of saying gurgle in French. Gargoyle. You see, that's why it's a gargoyle. See, get it? So that's why they're called that. Yeah. All right, the 19th century, that statement. Okay, that was meant to refer to the house also in Soundstage 20 called Dead End. Didn't know the house was going to be called Dead End. All that I received from my most excellent sources, this description: a classic Victorian haunted house. Classic Victorian haunted house. Geez, that is kind of vague. So I seized on the word Victorian, which I figured had to do with the architecture, not the time setting, and threw in the 19th century, because that's when the Victorian era was. So, Queen Victoria reigned for most of the 19th century, so yeah, that seemed as best a clue as I could of anything. Again, people might be thrown by that because they're thinking 19th century, something that happened in the 19th century, when the house is actually set nowadays, more recently, but in a house that was built back then but now has fallen into decrepitness and is haunted by evil, booty, spooky things. Yes. All right. Now, the last clue that I made way back early June, in my first video, was twins. Twins! Oh, I knew that was a most evil clue, because of course all the silly rumors about twin icons for 22 and things that were said before, and that would throw people all over the place. The reason I said twins was because the house in question, which is another one of the two houses that got scrapped. It was originally going to be the house in Soundstage 44, aka the Hercules Xena building, which now is no more. And that house was described to me as a house based on South American mythology. South American mythology. And I was thinking, well, this is the year 2012, South American mythology, Mayan apocalypse. It just seemed likely if that's going to be that. And so I was thinking about that, and it just happens that I am a professor of religion, and so I know this shit. And the central figures of Mayan myth and legend and religion, the most important figures, are the hero twins. I can't pronounce their names right off the top of my head. Anyway, even if I had it written out in front of me. But there's two hero twins, and they're very important people. In fact, their position in Mayan tradition is pretty much the same as the position Jesus Christ has in Christianity. They're sort of the saviors of the Mayans against demons and darknesses, etc. And they eventually become the sun and moon god after they die and ascend into heaven. They're sort of demigods at first, but they become gods of the universe and control all time and space. So they're very important beings in the Mayan traditions, and they're the central figures of the Agpuk, which is the holy book of the Mayans, sort of their Bible. So I figured, yeah, if you're going to do this one on South American mythology, well, you probably have some reference to these guys, so I used the clue or the statement twins to be encrypted for that. But the house got scrapped, and before it got scrapped, about a day after I did the video, my same excellent 100% right source told me a little bit extra information that I hadn't gotten the day before, which is that the house would actually feature a chupacabra. Okay, that's not what I thought of first when you said South American mythology. Oh, I see, that's very different. So I put some little clues in the comments to that first video, which is now just been deleted anyway, and other places where people were discussing it, making a flippant comment about something sucking goats, so people could get chupacabra out of that. Alright. Okay, I haven't gotten to the 2.0 new comments or to the 8 statements, and I'll have to do that in another video because we're past 15 minutes. But I'm not even going to upload this one until after Doctor Who is over, so, sorry.